Good morning and welcome to this new short series about finding ourselves. The theme is chosen from one of my favorite biblical passages, coming to oneself, taken from the parable of the prodigal son, who had got himself thoroughly lost on life's journey, but then at a time of great hardship came to himself. This week we will consider two interesting people, the one Blaise Pascal, a remarkable French scientist, and secondly Hannah, the mother of the great prophet Samuel. These are the 5 days. Day 1 today, Blaise Pascal in his life. Day 2, we introduce Hannah and praying with the heart. Day 3, Wednesday, we will look at what's known as Pascal's wager. Interesting phrase. Day 4, a shorter one about finding ourselves. And on day 5, I'm going to be a little cheeky and ask you to help me find my true self. So, Monday, day 1, Blaise Pascal. It's not a name many of you will be familiar with, I suspect, unless you studied physics. He was born 400 years ago into a highly intellectual family. His father was a judge and a respected mathematician. His sister, a child prodigy in literature. Pascal Jr. ultimately became a giant, a mathematician, a physicist, an inventor, and a prodigiously influential writer. He was a deeply committed Christian. As a mathematician, Pascal laid down the foundation for what is today known as probability theory. Day 3, we will talk about Pascal's wager, which is about shortening the odds when faced with choices. As a physicist, his work on pressures and liquids and gases led to him being honored with his name given to the unit of pressure. When you add 2 bars to the pressure in your tire, you are in fact filling it to 200 kilopascals. He invented the first syringe, the hydraulic press, the first calculator. To this day, Pascal's principle, as it's known, defines hydraulics. Any pressure applied to a confined liquid is transmitted undiminished through the liquid in all directions. Every time we press a foot on the brake pedal of our cars, we are indebted to Blaise Pascal. Whenever you lift something heavy, his principle is applied to the discs in your lower back. All of this in the 1600s, 400 years ago. Grace versus works was a hugely controversial and inflamed subject at the time in church circles. Pascal's 18 letters in defense of a friend led to what was later called the peace of the church. At the core of the matter was whether someone who'd fallen from grace could atone for his continuing sin without true repentance by frequently going to confession and taking communion. His ideas remain central to this day. Does one discover God through reasoning of the mind or experiencing him in our hearts? It's a balance that we recognize, and still we find it difficult to maintain. Tomorrow we'll talk about Hannah, the mother of the prophet Samuel, in this regard. For me, Pascal was a man who was the antithesis of the oft-promoted idea that science and religion are of necessity in conflict with each other. Here was a man deeply immersed in science. It was a man of faith. For too long, we've been under the influence of Stephen Hawkins and Richard Dawkins, forgetting that Galileo, Newton, Pascal were all men of deep faith. So was Einstein. though not a Christian. On a personal note, as a young, skeptical student of science at university, I was invited to a prayer meeting. Reluctantly, I accepted. My first astonishing observation was that most of the students present were from the science faculties. Up to that time, prayer was for me a passage read out of the liturgy. For the first time, I came into contact with people praying from the heart. That will be the subject of tomorrow's talk, praying with the heart. I leave you with the thought: has your religion yet fallen from your head to your heart? Until tomorrow, Tuesday, Hannah praying with the heart. Goodbye and God bless.